Okay. After my years at the ashram and my teacher moved me along to another teacher, that teacher wanted me to meet her teacher, whose name is Nilam from Poland. Yes. So kind and so gentle and such a wonderful Polish accent. We began having satsang events at my old studio in Denver. And I had been learning to play the harmonium. I hadn't been playing for very long. And that Friday afternoon when Neelam arrived, prior to the Friday night satsang, she saw that there was a harmonium sitting there in my studio. And as soon as she saw it, she said to me, "Mitch, you play harmonium?" And yes came out of my mouth in response. She said, "Oh, how wonderful. Next week, you're coming for the week-long satsang in Hotchkiss, yes?" I said, "Yes, I am." "So, you bring your harmonium and we'll have chanting at the retreat?" And somehow, yes came out of my mouth. As soon as I said yes, I wanted to pull it back in like a stray cat or something, some wild animal that had leaped out of my mouth. "Get back in here." But it was too late. I had said yes. She's so excited. How can I say no to this excited response from sweet Neelam? So we had our Friday night satsang, Saturday, Sunday satsang at my studio. And now I had 1 week to practice and practice and practice. So I chose a particular chant that had come to me. I only had a few chants that had come to me at that point in my journey. And so I only had a few to choose from. And the one I chose, I have to start in a lower key to have room to get up to the high notes, because this particular chant travels a whole octave up. And so I have to start in a lower key to be able to hit the high notes when it rises up to the top and then comes back around to the beginning again. Well, all week long I practiced and practiced. Every spare moment I practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced, because, we like to be perfect. We like to be good. We like to be admired and honored, and we like people to say how amazing we are. So I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. Now it's the day to drive to Hotchkiss from Denver, many, many hours. And for a large portion of the drive, my mind was busily saying all the reasons that I should turn around and go back and not go to Hotchkiss. What were you thinking? You stupid idiot. You've barely even hardly been playing. What in the world were you thinking to say yes to this? Turn this car around. Don't go to Hotchkiss. The whole drive. I'm trying not to get pulled into my thoughts. And yet, my mind is just going so fast of all the thoughts of failing and not being perfect and not doing it well and all of the things that our mind does. Next thing I know, I'm pulling into the parking lot of the place where the retreat was going to be. And I've now come up with a strategy on my drive that I'm just going to leave the harmonium in my car, sneak in very quietly into the building, sit way in the back, duck down so that Neelam won't see me, and maybe she'll forget that she had asked me to bring the harmonium and have chanting at her week-long retreat. Yes, this is the good plan. So I walk toward the door of this gathering place, and as I'm about to open the door, somebody else is opening the door from the inside. And so I move out of the way so that I don't get hit by the door. And the person coming out of the building is Neelam. She sees me. Mitch, so happy to see you. You brought the harmonium? We can have chanting? I look at her and I say, yes. Please, let me help you carry. What can I help you carry? So we're walking over to my car. I'm carrying my harmonium. She's carrying my bag of, my meditation cushion and water bottle and journal and all those things. We go into the building. Someone's holding the door for us so that I can get through the door while carrying the harmonium. And when I walk into the building, unbeknownst to me, Neelam had hired a camera crew to film this event. You have got to be kidding me. There's the camera, the lights, there's a person at a soundboard. It's a big gathering hall, lots of people. There's an area where Neelam is going to be sitting in, and they bring me and set me up right by where she's going to be sitting in front of the audience. And they bring over a microphone, and they have me sit on my cushion and adjust the microphone to the height that it needs to be in front of my mouth when we're going to have the chanting. And the whole time, there are so many thoughts. You're such a fraud. You're such a phony. What in the world are you doing here? Pick up this harmonium and run out of here as fast as you can. So now I'm sitting in the audience, and she explains to us that we will have satsang through the morning and meditation, and then there'll be some chanting during this 7-day retreat as well. She hasn't in any way let go of this. It's going to happen. She goes on to say that we will have lunch at 1 p.m., and there's a clock I can see on the wall that's between where we're all gathered together, the room we're in, and then the adjoining room where we will have our lunch. There's an analog clock on the wall. The whole morning, I'm just watching the clock, hoping that it will get to be 1 p.m. and she will have forgotten and there'll be no chanting. Just get me to 1 p.m. I couldn't tell you a single thing that we explored that morning together. I don't even remember even being there. I just was so afraid and so scared and just watching that clock, and it was moving so slowly. It was just torture. Next thing I know, it's 15 minutes until 1. I started to relax because I realized I'm in the clear. We don't have time for chanting now. We're going to be flowing right into lunch. I made it through the morning. She forgot about it. Right in that moment, I hear her say, "So, Mitch." I look at her and I say, "Yes, Neil." "So, Mitch, shall we have some chanting before we go to lunch?" "Yes," comes out of my mouth. Now, I can't tell you how I got from my chair to the stage area beside her chair. I don't even know how I got there. Next thing I know, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the harmonium, and there's this microphone right in front of me, and then there's all the people and the camera and the sound person and all the things. I think there were 2 cameras. I don't know if I'm remembering this accurately or not, but I think there was a camera on one side of the room and a camera on the other side of the room. Memory is a funny thing, but that's what I'm remembering in this moment, that there were 2 cameras. Actually, I think there were. And lights, aiming at you, and the person at the soundboard and all the people. And so then I notice my hands are shaking. My body feels cold, clammy. I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack. Oh my goodness. And I begin playing, and instead of starting low, where I have room to get to the high notes, I accidentally started an octave up. So soon as I start chanting, I realize there is no way I'm going to be able to hit those high notes. And so I'm going up, 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 up. And when I get to the high, it's just like a screeching noise. This terrible sounding screeching noise comes out of my throat. So now it returns back to the beginning. And if there were any amount of presence whatsoever, I would adjust, go to a lower key and start there. So I have room to hit the high notes. Oh no, that's not what happened. I stayed right where I was, and we went up again. And when we got up to the high part, I couldn't hit it. Could not hit it. Oh, and another just screeching noise came out. And around again, and it happened again, and again, and again. And after about 5 to 7 flows of that, I realized this is just this has to stop. Out of mercy for everybody in attendance, I have to stop this screeching. So mid-chant, I just stopped. My hand just came off the harmonium, and I'm aware that I have just been publicly humiliated, completely exposed as a fraud. All the blood is not even as if it exists inside my body anymore. I'm looking out at all the people and the cameras and the sound person. And there's these looks on people's face for what they just experienced. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Neelam leans over, puts her hand over my microphone, and says very sweetly in my ear, "So, Mitch, you bring your harmonium again tomorrow and we have more chanting?" And I was so surprised to hear her say that. I didn't say this out loud, but the thought that came into my mind when she said that to me was, "You want more of that?" But instead of that coming out of my mouth, what came out of my mouth was, "Yes." Once again, yes came out of my mouth. Oh, and I started to just spiral down deep, just feeling so exposed and fraudulent and humiliated. And all the people are getting up and they're all now going to lunch. And I couldn't look at anybody. My head was down toward my chest. I gazed down toward the harmonium, and I was just waiting for everybody to finally leave the gathering room and go into the lunch area. Feeling so humiliated and despicable. And finally, everybody's gone. Now nobody can see me. I lift up my head and I pick up the harmonium and my bag, with my meditation cushion and everything. And I go to the door, open the door, go out to the car, unlock the back of the car. I had a hatchback back in those days. Open up the hatch, put the harmonium in, all my things, slam down the hatch, get in my car, turn on my car, and I'm now driving away as fast as I can from the retreat place. Never gonna ever chant ever again. Never gonna play harmonium ever again. Never gonna be able to be around Neelam anymore or anybody in this satsang community. Running driving as fast as I can. Just self-loathing thoughts just spinning and spiraling and taking me down into the depths of despair. I'm actually wanting to find a place to pull over and take the harmonium out of the back of the car and throw it off of a cliff and just watch it just shatter into 1,000 pieces. Because I'm never going to play harmonium ever again. Never going to chant ever again. Never going to be around any of these people ever again. It would be too embarrassing to ever have to face them. And I'm driving and driving and driving. It spiraled down into such a depth of hopelessness and despair. I was actually having thoughts of wanting to try to find an opening in the guardrail and just drive right off of the cliff. As soon as I started having those kind of thoughts, I realized, whoa, we better pull over and stop the car on the side of the road. So I slowed down, pulled over into the shoulder, turned off my car, and just spiraled into the depth of despair. You stupid idiot. What were you thinking? You're such a fraud. You're such a phony. Just spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. In that moment, I just felt so terrible. I just needed a lifeline. I needed help. So I grabbed my flip phone. This is back in the days when flip phones had first come out of my backpack. And I turn it on and I call my wife. My one lifeline, calling for help. Help. I'm not doing well at all. And so I call, she answers, and I tell her everything that just happened. The walking into the room, the cameras, the lights, the screeching noises, the failing, the Neelam asking me to bring my harmonium again tomorrow. I'm driving away as fast as I can, feeling so terrible. I want to throw my harmonium off the cliff, and I am even wanting to find a place that's open in the guardrail so that I can drive my car right off the cliff. I tell her the whole thing. And now I'm so looking forward to what she's going to say to help me off of this precipice of despair. And I'm holding the phone to my left ear, and I hear her say to me, "That's it? You couldn't hit the high notes and you're ready to drive your car off a cliff?" Unbelievable. How cold, how uncaring. And I turn off my phone and throw my phone into the floorboard of the passenger seat to my right. And I'm just so mad at her. How could she be so unkind and uncaring and so mean? That's it? That's it? That's it? That's all I could keep hearing in my left ear was her saying to me, "That's it? That's it?" And I was just so mad. How could she do this to me, my one lifeline? And she tells me, "That's it?" So unkind, so uncaring. And then as I just kept spinning and spinning and spinning, her words, "That's it," just kept haunting me. And then I started to really face what I was feeling. I turned within and started to face the depth of despair, but her words kept coming in. "That's it? That's it?" And all of a sudden I started to wonder, is she right? Is this not that big of a deal? No, she's not right. This is total public humiliation. It's on a DVD somewhere that they're going to be selling at the end of the retreat. This whole thing is completely and utterly devastating. So I start facing it again. But the "that's it" keeps haunting me. So in that moment, as I started to face it, and it was in my gut, and I just was burning in it, all of a sudden I had an image of other life events prior to this day where I had failed at something. Because my whole life I had always tried to be perfect and good and all those things. And all of a sudden I started flashing on those moments where I had failed at something, and I realized every time I failed at something, I ran from it. And this thing that I failed at, I ran from it. It was going back through my life, and all the moments that I failed at something, I realized I had run to not have to face that humiliation of failing. In that moment, I realized I was doing the same thing. I was running from the failure, from the humiliation. And I realized in that moment that I had to be willing to face it. And that meant I had to turn my car back on and drive back to the retreat place where the gathering was being held. So I did. I turned on my car. I turned around, was driving back to the place. And the whole time I could feel this part of me that I call the wanter, wanting to not return, to turn around and do the running thing again. That will fix this. Do not go back there. I could feel that tug and pull to not go back. Next thing I know, I'm back in the parking lot right by the building. I decide to leave the harmonium in the car. I'm not going to bring the harmonium in. I'll just leave it in the car. And I'm just going to go in and sit down and face it. And I did. I walked in. They were all still having lunch. They were just finishing up their lunch. I sat down where I had been sitting before. And little by little, people started to come back in. And I could not look at anyone as they came back in. I just had my head down on my chest. Just so embarrassed. Feeling so humiliated. There's no way I could look up at anyone and see them laughing at me or pointing at me and saying how ridiculous I am. I couldn't bear to see any of that, so my head was just down on my chest. Little by little, everybody came back in after lunch. The camera back on, the sound person back there, Neelam in her chair by her microphone. And the person right to my right asked Neelam a question. So they start having a dialogue. And so I'm sitting right beside the person that's talking to Neelam. All the attention aimed in my direction as Neelam is having this dialogue with the person. And I'm so embarrassed. I just want the attention to be somewhere else. Don't even anybody be looking this way at all, please. And I just want this to be over, but it just keeps going and going. And now I'm just realizing I just have to burn and burn and burn. So now I just realize I had no choice. I can't get up and run at this point. I just have to face it. I turned all of my attention within, right into my gut where this self-loathing was occurring. And I just burned and burned and burned in it. There was no way out. In that moment, I realized the only way out is in. I had to be willing to go into this. And so I did, fully. Just the depth of despair and self-loathing, spinning and spinning and spinning. And they're continuing to have this dialogue, which lasted for, seemed like eternity. And I'm just burning and burning and burning. Can you be done with this so that the attention will go back somewhere else? But it's not happening, and it's not happening, and I'm burning, and I'm burning, and I'm burning. Next thing I know, something gave way. I became aware that the burning in my body is occurring, but it's not all that I am. Because I'm also the awareness of this feeling, of these self-loathing thoughts. They're occurring, and I'm burning in them, but I'm not just the burn, and I'm not just the thoughts. I'm also the awareness of all of this happening. And as I was resting in that awareness, as I'm still burning and hearing what my mind is saying, I could hear all the thoughts that continue to sort of feed the fire of this self-loathing. And little by little, as I was just resting back in the awareness, I was noticing that the thoughts that were feeding it started to slow down and not be so strong and intense. And it got quieter and quieter, and the feeling in my stomach was just releasing and releasing all on its own. Just releasing and releasing and releasing. Next thing I know, it just completely released. And all was revealed in that moment. Underneath all of that made up story of being a fraud and a failure and having to be perfect and all of that, underneath all of that, when it burned away and there was just this full release, I realized what I really am cannot be humiliated. What I really am doesn't need to be perfect. What I really am can't fail at being what I really am. And what I really am is pure love. Pure, absolute, unconditional love. In that moment, my head came up off of my chest. I looked out at everybody in the gathering, and I just wanted to go up to everyone and hug them and tell them how much I love them and how amazingly magnificent and beautiful and lovely that they are. And please don't believe any thoughts that your mind says that you are not good enough. It's not the truth. We all are this love, this pure love. This is what we all are. I just wanted to tell everyone this truth and hug them and smooch them on their cheeks. Tell them how much I love them. Right in that moment, the dialogue that the person to my right and Neelam were having came to a completion. And then I hear Neelam say to me, "So, Mitch," and I look up at her and I say, "Yes, Neelam?" She says, "Oh, Mitch, will you please share with everybody what you are experiencing?" Oh, so I'm giggling and laughing and just looking at everyone with just such love and gentleness and compassion. And I share with them the whole flow from the beginning of a week ago. Neelam comes to my studio, sees the harmonium. I've only been playing for a little bit. She asks me, do I play harmonium? Somehow, yes comes out of my mouth. The whole drive to here for the chanting, I'm wishing I hadn't brought the harmonium. What am I thinking? When I get here, I leave the harmonium in the car. Neelam's coming out of the building right as I'm going in. She's so excited for the chanting. She helps me carry things in. And when I walk into the building, as you all know, there is a camera crew and there is a sound person and there are microphones and lights. And everyone is just laughing at this amazing experience we all shared together. The amazing, like perfect storm that it was. And I say how I'm sitting in the whole morning. I can't, even remember what we talked about this morning. All I was doing was looking at the clock and trying to get to 1 p.m. for lunch. Next thing I know, Neelam says, "Mitch, shall we have chanting?" I go up, I sit down, my hands are shaking. I'm looking up at all of you. I start too high. And I'm realizing I don't have room to hit the high notes. And as you all just experienced, that screeching noise. And if there was any presence whatsoever, I would have adjusted. And oh no, that didn't happen, as you all experienced. Screeching noise after screeching noise after screeching noise. And then there was a certain point, out of mercy for all of you having to not listen to it anymore, I just stopped. And then Neelam leaned over and put her hand over the microphone and said, "So, Mitch, you bring your harmonium again tomorrow?" Everyone's just cracking up at the amazing experience that we all shared together. And I told them, I didn't say this to Neelam when she asked me, but in my mind, I thought, you want more of that? Then I shared with them, this is when it got really intense for me. When you were all getting up to go to lunch, I couldn't look at any of you. I was so embarrassed, so ashamed. And after you all left, I picked up the harmonium, put it in my car, slammed down the hatchback, and was running as fast as I can from this failure, this public humiliation. And now everybody's dropping into the depth of that with me. We're all in it together. We all experience it together. And I can see the looks on their faces, and they're all just right with me. Big hearts of compassion with me in the sharing of this depth of despair as I was driving as fast as I could, looking for a cliff to throw my harmonium off. And then it got so deep that I was actually wanting to drive off a cliff. Got out my phone, called my wife, told her the whole story, and she says to me, "That's it? That's it?" And I threw the phone into the floorboard on the right, feeling so betrayed, so let down by my one lifeline, and started burning in it and realized my whole life what I had done to avoid failure, because it was always so important to me to be perfect, was to run from it and run from it and run from it. All these life events where I failed at something and I wasn't perfect, I would run from it. And I realized in that moment I was doing the same thing. And then I had to turn around and come back to this gathering hall and face it with all of you. And so I did. And when I walked in, I went and sat down and had my head to my chest because I couldn't at all look at any of you as you came back in from lunch. And as soon as we started back up, as you all noticed, there was a dialogue happening from the person sitting here to my right with Neelam. And I was just wanting nobody to be looking in my direction. And then I just had to face it and burn in it and burn in it. It was so many spiraling thoughts of, you idiot, you're so stupid, you're such a fraud, you're such a phony, you're such a failure, who do you think you are? Just burning at it and burning at it and burning at it. And little by little, as I faced it and faced it and faced it, it started to release, and then it completely released. And in that release, what was revealed is what we all really are, that can't fail, that doesn't have to be perfect, is inherently, absolutely pure love. And that's when I lifted up my head and looked out at all of you, and I just wanted to come around and hug you all and say to you, please don't believe one thought that says that you are anything other than absolute, divine, pure love. And I just wanted to hug you all and smooch you on your cheeks and tell you how much I love you all so much. I'm so grateful to be here with all of you today. And I took a big in-breath and a big out-breath. And then I hear Neelam say, Mitch, thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you so much for turning your car around and coming back and facing it. It's so difficult for us to face being embarrassed, being humiliated, feeling like a failure and a fraud and a phony. Thank you so much for being willing to face all of that. And thank you so much for sharing this experience with all of us. This is the invitation for the rest of our retreat this week. How can each of us be willing to face whatever feelings come up? When we do, just as Mitch just experienced with all of us, we can reveal who we really are, as Mitch said, this absolute love that we are. And there's people crying, there's just a combined group energy of just a big loving embrace. It was so beautiful. Then Neelam said, okay, how about we have a restroom break? So everyone started to get up and go to the restroom, and some of the people came up and wanted to hug me and thank me, and a few people would say things like, Mitch, it really wasn't that bad. And I would look at them and I would say, it's okay, you can be honest. And they would say, yeah, it was horrific. Worst sound I've ever heard come out of a human's voice box. And we laughed and we hugged and we played. And it became the foundation of our week-long retreat. It was a place from which we all could, each in our own way that week, be willing to face and not run, to turn toward rather than moving away, to go within. Our wanter will always try to move away from discomfort. That's its function. The wanter in us is always going to try to find what feels safe and known and comfortable for survival reasons. It's not wrong or bad that that's the way that it's oriented. That is its function, is to ensure our survival. So it will always try to move away from discomfort and seek comfort. my strategy that my wanter had picked up in those kind of events, failure events where I wasn't perfect, my wanter had picked up the strategy of running from it, to not have to face the discomfort. On that day, I stopped running and turned within and discovered that underneath all of that made suffering that we create for ourselves through all of these false stories and narratives about ourselves, we are pure, eternal, absolute love.